Yes, the honeybee, by its nature and its duty, is such a miracle of power that the great surah of the Quran, An-Nahl, the bee, is named after it. Because to write the perfect program for its important duty in the tiny head of that little honey machine. For example, even with these expressions, people are working on artificial intelligence now, right? Human technology, for instance. I mean, a robot picks up a box from the floor and puts it on a table or does something else. To make it perform that duty, they might write who knows how many pages of code, right? That's how they make it work. Can that much code be written into its own brain? Can it just settle into that robot's brain? There is someone who writes the program, installs it, and adjusts the mechanical parts accordingly, isn't there? How many engineers and so on are there? So there is an incredible program in the head of that little honey machine. For example, those who work in beekeeping write books just to explain the bee's movements, finding its way and direction, going and finding those honey gardens, those flower gardens, returning to the hive, making the honeycomb, shaping the honeycomb, their social life, and so on. It could fill books. The program for all of this exists in the bee's head. Who wrote it? Someone must have written it. For that little honey machine, even the term itself is wonderful. Honey machine. A machine automatically points to the master who made it. This honey machine, right now, can the Japanese, the Americans, and so on. Let's not name names, but can all the brilliant engineers in the world make a honey machine? They can. Do it. Go ahead. Make a honey machine. No matter how many engineers you have, no matter how much technology, they can't do it. Meaning God Almighty has placed that machine inside it. Right? Ultimately, there is a miracle to write the perfect program for its important duty in the tiny head of that little honey machine, and to place and cook the sweetest of foods in its little belly. To place and cook the sweetest of foods in its little belly. Let's gather those sugary parts from the flowers and try to make honey from them. Cook it, make honey. Is it possible? It's not. But God Almighty created the bee's belly in such a way to place and cook the sweetest of foods in its little belly, and to place in its stinger the poison that has the property of destroying and killing the organs of living beings without harming its own organ and body. You know, they tell some people, a bee stung you, you have 2 lives left. It stings you again, you have 1 life left. After 1 more sting, it's all over for you. Look, it can take down a huge man. It's the same poison, but it doesn't harm the bee itself, and it doesn't mix with the honey. Do any of us worry when eating honey, wondering if it might have mixed in? To place in its stinger the poison that has the property of destroying and killing the organs of living beings without harming its own organ and body. This too requires a separate kind of care and art. Since this is done with utmost care and knowledge, and with profound wisdom and will, and with complete order and balance, things like unconscious, orderless, measureless nature and chance can certainly not interfere. For example, for an act or a work of art, what is needed for a work of art? The easiest way to understand it, to comprehend it, is to be told, go ahead, you do it. Start doing it, and you'll see what's required. The best way to understand how difficult something is, what it requires, and who can do it, is to be told, go ahead, start doing it. Then you will understand. For example, a man says, "This tree could have come about by chance." All right then, start building this house and see if it happens by chance. As the simplest example, try to make honey like that. See if it happens. So what is required for chance to do this? Since it is done with utmost care and knowledge, look, there must be care, there must be knowledge. How is that transformed into that? With knowledge and with profound wisdom and will, and with complete order and balance. Things like unconscious, orderless, measureless nature and chance can certainly not interfere. Look, the method of proof in the RİSALE-İ is very beautiful. It presents the art. It lays out what is necessary for that art. It asks, what are the things you claim did this? What are their properties? Do they have the properties required to do this? Number, then they cannot do it. Finished. It's like solving a math problem, meaning what we call nature and chance are unconscious, orderless, measureless things. They certainly cannot interfere or be involved. So it is miraculous in these three aspects. What were those three aspects? To write the perfect program for its important duty in its little head, to place and cook the sweetest of foods in its little belly, and to place in its stinger the poison that has the property of destroying and killing the organs of living beings without harming its own organ and body. The emergence and pervasiveness of this divine art and this lordly act, which is miraculous in these three aspects, across the face of the whole earth. Now he showed one bee, but then he spoke of absolute encompassment. This lordly act across the face of the whole earth. Think of the entire earth in countless bees, with the same wisdom, the same care, the same measure, at the same time. What strikes me most is that it's at the same time. Normally, people do things in sequence. All bees are created at the same time in the same style. Being in the same style also shows that it came from a single hand. Its emergence and pervasiveness self-evidently prove oneness, meaning it proves that it is the work of a single being, created by a single creator.